All right, folks, this is Harris Sultan, the ex-Muslim atheist, and welcome to another episode of Sultan's House of Sin. Right. It's not really a news story. It's more so something kind of you might say, well, Harris, we already know this. All my followers and probably now even moderately educated Muslims also know this, that women, according to Prophet Muhammad, are, I'm sorry to say, not my words, Prophet Muhammad, the greatest man who ever lived, his words are, women are stupid. Now, this is Sahih al-Bukhari's hadith. As you know, Prophet said, he actually asked a group of women, isn't the witness of a woman equal to half of that of a man? The woman said, the women said, yes. And then he replied, he said, this is because of the deficiency of a woman's mind. Now, why is he saying that? Where does it say that women's testimony is half of that of a man? That actually comes from the Quran. Now, this is the famous Quranic verse, chapter 2, 282. It says, and if there are not two men available, then a man and two women from those whom you accept as witnesses, so that if one of the woman errs, then the other one can remind her. So it's not just the hadith, it's the actual Quran as well that says women's statement is half of that of a man, because they're a little bit stupid. So why I'm bringing it up, as most of you already know this, I've spoken about it many times. I've mentioned that in my book, and so many people actually know about it. So, well, something happened last week. We had Nobel Prize winners were announced last week, and we had this wonderful woman, Professor Andrea M. Ghez. She's an astrophysicist, and she is given a Nobel Prize for 2020 for discovering the supermassive black hole in the center of our galaxy. Now, I believe it was discovered quite a long time ago, but maybe she refined it or something. But anyway, she's also a co-winner. So I think there are a couple of other physicists as well who've won this year's Nobel Prize. But the point is, she is a woman, and I am pretty sure she is smarter than 99.999% of men on planet Earth, especially men like this or this one. So, and you know what? It's not only just, just that woman. This wonderful professor, Jennifer Doudna, she also won a Nobel Prize in chemistry, along with Emmanuel Carpenter, who's a French biochemist. She also won the Nobel Prize this week in chemistry for this year. Now, we know as women have been allowed socially, it's become more and more acceptable for women to go out, to pursue their careers and become more and more educated. We are now seeing bigger and bigger chunk of Nobel Prizes every year going towards women. Yes, there's still a significant gap between male Nobel Prize winners and female Nobel Prize winners, but that gap is constantly narrowing. And that's only because, now we are encouraging women to go out and do their thing. But obviously, Prophet Muhammad didn't know that. And Islam and verses like these or hadiths like these actually systemically discouraged women. So I want to ask these feminists, especially Western feminists who say Islam is a very feminist religion, ask them, according to Muhammad, these women are stupid. These women are not smart enough to be considered equal to men. But this is not where Muhammad's misogyny ended. There's another famous hadith, Sahih al-Bukhari, book 92, hadith number 50. Now, during the battle of Al-Jamal, Allah benefited me with a word I heard from the Prophet. When the Prophet heard the news that the people of Persia had made the daughter of Khusro their queen, meaning ruler, he said, never will succeed such a nation as makes a woman their ruler. So no nation can succeed if you make a female the state. Again, Muslims are like, whoa, our great prophet, he knew everything. He was the smartest man of all time and blah, 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 blah. But little did he know that now, and I'm only going to mention women who lead the developed countries, not third world countries like, we've got Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto, who was the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina Wajid, who was the Prime Minister of, or probably still is the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, and there was another Prime Minister of Argentina. She was Prime Minister up until a few years ago. But those are, you can say those are third world countries. That's why those countries didn't succeed, even though majority of their leadership had historically been with men. So if you want to blame those countries for their leadership, then you have to blame their men. But forget about them. Let's focus on female heads of states for Western first world countries. Obviously, we all know our great Angela Merkel. She has been Germany's chancellor since 2005. Now, I personally don't like her politics, but, she is doing a pretty good job. Germany has been first world country. It didn't go into some chaotic spiraling out of control. That didn't happen. So Germany is still a developed country. Obviously, we had Helle Thorning-Schmidt. She's been a president of Denmark from 2011 to 2015. And obviously, our very own Prime Minister Julia Gillard, who also was an atheist and Prime Minister of Australia for, I think, just over 4 years. She couldn't complete her second term, and even her first term, she got that as by overthrowing Kevin Rudd. But that is quite common. That happens in Australia, in Australian politics. Ooh, my next one. Obviously, the next one is Kolinda Grabar-Kitarović. She was the president of Croatia from 2015 to 2020. So just recently, she left her presidency. And again, my favorite, Sanna Marin. She's world's youngest head of state. She's Finnish prime minister, and she's been the prime minister of Finland since 2019. Now, these are just some of the first world country female leaders. Now, on the other hand, what these men tell us, these wonderful, amazing, intelligent men, they tell us that Prophet Muhammad was the greatest man who ever lived, and he meant it, that a nation cannot succeed if you make a woman the ruler. Such is the wisdom of our great prophet and those who follow. These guys, yeah. All right, so now that was the first one. All right, how are we doing? Oh, and all we have is Maryam Nawaz. Yes, Momina, you're right. Maryam Nawaz. It's funny, in Pakistan, Pakistani politics is so corrupt that it doesn't even matter. It's not even an Islamic country. It's not a developed country. It's not even a secular country. It's nothing. It's just corrupt. So we have the biggest Islamic politician of Pakistan. His name is Fazlur Rahman. He opposed Benazir Bhutto as prime minister, and he said, well, Islam doesn't allow women leadership. And he was right about that. But now he's supporting Maryam Nawaz, who's the daughter of the previous prime minister, Nawaz Sharif. And he's supporting her because, it just suits him now. What happened to the hadith of the Prophet? They just ignore everything. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I can't skip Jacinda Ardern. She's, our neighbor. She's a New Zealand prime minister. I think she was very young as well. I think she was 36 or 37 when she became New Zealand's prime minister. And some people say she might win the next term as well. But yes, she's wonderful. She's amazing. Someone is saying, Haris, what about Indira Gandhi? I did mention Indira Gandhi at the start. I did say I'm only mentioning the developed countries' female heads of states, even though I did mention Benazir Bhutto, Sheikh Hasina Wajid, and Indira Gandhi. Amazingly, all three women belong to India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. What's classically been told that it's a very male-dominated society, which it kind of is, but even they could break down some barriers, whereas United States is yet to have a female president. Why do you never talk about Ghazwa-i-Hind, threats from Muslims for over 1,500 years towards India? Stop listening to Tariq Fateh, okay? Muslims are not just thinking about it that, we're going to have to conquer India, because these are silly hadiths. This is the whole point of telling you about the hadiths. I just mentioned you the hadith where Muhammad said that you cannot have a female leader. But how many times Benazir Bhutto, how many Muslims were diehard fans of Benazir Bhutto? so many. They elected her in because they ignore these hadiths. They don't care about these hadiths. So, it's not that there are Muslims of Arabs and Pakistan and Iran and Egypt. They're all just dying to invade India. Ghazwa Hind, stop worrying about it. To help me produce more videos like these, support me on Patreon or PayPal.